Welcome everyone to day 6. We're still talking about underwriting right now. FIA has sent me over a deal that we are going to actually the deal we looked at in the last class. We're going to look at what the broker responded back to us with the questions, and we're going to go over that right now. So let me share my screen. So they responded back with the red. So our first question here, the majority of tenants and who they are, being that there was a lot of one bedrooms, we wanted to see what type of tenants they were. This is a very basic answer. You'll kind of get a better sense of this once you actually get the property under contract and can talk with the current property management company and look over leases. But it says most of the tenants are area workers, obviously. Recent influx of hospital employees, and then blue collar workers. Doesn't tell us a whole lot. It's kind of the obvious, right? This next one here, can we get a T12 in an Excel format with everything broken down? This could be one of two things. Either they truly don't have it, which the broker needs to actually make one through all of the receipts and everything and bank statements, which they obviously chose not to do. But he says, I'm sorry, but the attached is all that we have received from the seller. The monthly revenue in Excel is attached as well, but we have no further detail to the attached. The seller is a New York City-based family. They do not have investors other than themselves, so they have no intentional need for more detailed reporting. So let me just look at everything that they had sent over here. That's rent roll, revenue, and cash. Let's see what this is. So this is just... yeah, no breakdown.
They do revenue and cash.
Yeah, they're reporting anything that they brought any cash. But this is the T12 that they've basically given us. It is a true T12. Now, the problem I have with what the broker says, like I said, he didn't remove the mortgage interest in this is not a expense that we would have. It's actually below the line. So this is not a fixed expense that we would underwrite with. This is just whatever we would have for our mortgage would be below the line. They didn't remove that. Again, it's just being lazy. And then we have no idea what any of the other income is coming from. How are we supposed to evaluate this deal? How are we supposed to know what other income we're going to have? I find it very hard to believe that somebody put this under contract unless they have a very good PSA that says that they can back out at any time with no repercussions, because they would have to supply all the documentation, all the bank statements, so that we can go through and make sure that all these numbers are actually correct.
Yeah,
He's bullshitting. There ain't no offer on this building.
that kind of seems like
Well, there
likely to me.
could be an offer, but like I said, somebody could have put it under contract with a very good, maybe they haven't gotten to PSA yet. And I've seen that happen. We did that on a property out in Wichita. Excuse me. The broker told us what the property looked like with none of the information, just like this broker's claiming. But then once we actually put the property under contract, we had in there a lot of stipulations about what we had to get. And if anything was off, we could back out with no repercussions. Once they supplied us everything, the NOI was almost $300,000 less than they told us. So our offer went from, I think it was, I want to say 8.5 million down to about 5 million. The seller was not going to take that because I think he owed right around 5 million on the building. But that's all part of this process in evaluating these deals. So if you were to put in an offer based on these numbers, you're not going to put in your PSA any hard money. You're going to have a lot of stipulations in there, and that's all stuff that your real estate attorney would help you with. So you would tell them all your concerns, and they'd write up all the legal jargon for you, and then it would go back and forth. I would definitely not put any money hard or not have those reasons that you could back out on this deal, because this is all they're providing us. And that's only a snapshot, and we need all the details. The next question was, how much and what staff does the property have? Currently, the property has a dedicated manager on staff, and that's it. The manager's responsibilities are primarily leasing and property condition or coordination. Now that the asset has stabilized, we have, okay, so that right there, now that the asset has stabilized, that means whoever bought this property took it over and it was in pretty bad shape. That could be why the numbers were so low in the underwriting now versus where they projected. We have encouraged having a maintenance tech or superintendent at the property full-time with only a part-time manager. Okay, so full-time leasing, maintenance tech, full-time, that's 90,000, and a part-time manager, 90,000 plus probably 25. So you're probably looking at 115,000 on payroll. Remember, that was one of the things that we were talking about, why the payroll was so low. The need for a manager leasing agent is more important, but we have confidence the property will run much more professionally with a superintendent on site full-time. Currently, all common cleaning is via contract service. Okay. So the good thing there is we'd underwrite this deal assuming what all three of that staff would cost us. And then if we realize throughout the process of actually operating the property, if we could back down on that, we can. We actually did that on our first property in Wichita. We had full-time maintenance and full-time leasing on site for $80,000. We realized after a year that we only needed both of them part-time. So we cut our payroll in half, and our property management company found other properties for our maintenance to go. We don't want them to be without their income, but the property management company found other places for them to go for their other 20 hours or so a week.
That's awesome.
And then why are legal expenses so high? Not entirely sure. It includes professional fees, which could capture other expenses. Like the fact that they don't know what this stuff is, it's just mind-boggling at this. If they already have a contract on this, they should know this. And my question would be to the broker, if I'm talking to him on the phone, is, well, are you lead on this deal or someone else lead on this deal? Because maybe someone else is lead on this deal and he doesn't have all the information. That could be a possibility why some of these are a little bit vague. What are the contract services and maintenance? Contract services and maintenance includes common cleaning, landscaping, snow removal. Again, I want to know how much the cleaning is, how much is the landscaping, how much is snow removal, how much is the elevator. Like if I don't have these numbers, I can't project out how the property is going to operate, and I'm just guessing. Does anyone want to guess what $8.5 million here of your investors' money?
No.
No. So how would I handle this? I would try, well, at this point, because the property is under contract, I really wouldn't push at this point. I would leave it. I would just let the broker know, hey, thank you for the information. If the property is to fall out of contract, please let me know, and I'll happy to put in another offer. And at that point, if the property does fall out of contract, okay, I need to know what that cleaning is, what that landscaping is, what the snow removal is, what each salary is right now. You have to have all that information. If it closes and that's it, then guess what? Don't waste any more of your time.
Got it.
Any questions on all that?
Yeah, on the stability part, haven't these people owned this for 30 years? I'm pretty sure.
Those numbers somehow.
No matter like the part where you said, oh, okay, now it's stabilized, but if they've owned it for 30 years, why is that? Is that weird? Is it just me?
Did they tell you it was owned for 30 years?
I believe so, yeah. It was a long period of time. I don't know if I'm mixing this one up with another one. Let me look, but I'm pretty sure.
Well, if that's true, then my question would be to the broker, if they've owned it for 30 years, why did they let it get so bad? And what caused them to do all this work Because I thought in the OM it mentioned something about $2.6 million being injected into this property in the last year or something.
Let me see, I got this. Yeah, I thought, oh, 3.6 during the last 8 to 10 years.
Oh, 8 to 10
Uh,
years. Okay.
From, yeah, I'm pretty sure. I'm trying to find where it says it, but I'm pretty sure this is the one he said that's been owned by the same people for 30 years. So
Okay.
that would
Then my
be where,
question stands. I would just want to know, if they've owned it for so long, why was it not stabilized? What was going on? What made them all of a sudden put all this money into the property? I mean, it could just be a simple answer. Is they just decided they want to sell, they want to buy another property, they want to cash out. It could be that simple. But when someone owns a property for 30 years, they don't just up and decide, hey, listen, I'm going to dump a whole ton of money in this thing because they haven't done it over the years.
I mean, that was a 8 to 10 year span, so I guess it's been a while. And since it's an old building, they might have had to, but yeah, probably had something to do with the intention of eventually selling it. Who knows? But yeah, not much to do with that without a bunch of info, especially if they already have an offer.
So I mean, I would just for now, if you had more detailed responses, I would work on it a little bit more. But based on this, I wouldn't waste your time anymore.
Yeah.
Like I said, just thank the broker, let them know that if the property is to fall out of contract and you're looking for another offer, you'd be happy to reevaluate. And at that point, you're going to want to get all that information. Any other questions on all of this so far? No? Okay. So, like I said, when we started, I had a deal that I wanted to look at, but because of the complexity of the deal, we're just going to look at another one here. This was a deal I underwrote, it's probably close to 2 years now, maybe a year and a half ago. We did put it an offer on it, but it's all everything's worked out the way I had set it up based on market growth. Now, obviously, this would bite us in the ass right now. And as you can see, I left this. I didn't follow my own advice. I wanted to show you that this is why you always have someone, double check your work. I can't remember exactly why, but I believe when we spoke to a property management company, they were okay with this because the growth in Houston at the time, they were telling us that these properties were achieving this, but that's not the correct way to underwrite. So I'm going to put this back here. Oops, wrong box. So the ask on this property was $100,000 for a door, 84 units, was 8.4 million. I want to just play around with the spreadsheet on any questions you guys have, just so you can understand once the deal gets to this point to where you figured out how it's going to look and all the underwriting is in, how you come up with your offer price, how you come up with the returns that you want. So does anyone know the type of returns that they're looking for their investors?
Yeah, right now I'm 12 to 15% return on their money.
Okay. Anyone else?
It seems like people still are still most multifamily deals I see are still like that 6 pref and they're 18 to 20% ARR, above 15 IRR, above 16 IRR.
Yeah, that's pretty much spot on, Stacy. Michael, let me just address your comment. You're probably more used to the single family side.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I was just gonna say. That's why, but I know that's what we're looking for in multifamily. I know those.
Absolutely. So And I will tell you this, if you have a smaller deal and a couple investors, you could definitely get, offer somebody 12%, maybe 15%, rehab the building, cash them out and keep it for yourself. Definitely do that. You can do it on a syndication. You might need to offer a little bit more, but generally what we're seeing, we do everything in a 70-30 split. I'm just changing it right here. So 70% of the profits go to the limited partners, 30% goes to the GP. We didn't do a pref on our two deals. And the reason was they don't meet a pref. We weren't going to work for free for 5 years. We're going to split everything with our investors the way we have it worked out. So if our investors get paid, we get paid. But it's even, right? And we left it. We didn't do a waterfall that if we did better on the back end, they get more, or we get more. We didn't do that. It's just straight up. But you could do this any way that you can. So this deal right now, your multifamily right now, if you can get 6% cash on cash on an average, that's a pretty good deal. Annualized return, you want to be somewhere between 15 to 20%. I've seen 15s, that's kind of low. You start getting up 18, 19, 20%, investors start getting excited. You get over 20%, they're really excited. But a lot of that's going to come at profit of sale on the back end. So this box right here, this member LP returns, this is what we look at. This is projected returns over the whole deal between a whole 100%. But this is what we look at because we're trying to meet our investors' returns. So right now we have an IRR at 10%, which is not good. A 1.78% cash on cash, which is terrible. And an average, there's your 12%. This is not going to get an investor excited. So what on here? Let's just assume that this is the current interest rate and the down payment. I don't want to mess with any of that. What do we start playing with in order to get the returns to where we want? 6% cash on cash with, let's just say, an 18% IRR or better.
Increase revenue.
What's that?
Increase revenue.
Okay. Anyone else?
Drop the price.
What's that?
Drop the price.
Lower the price, right? Yep. Yeah, just for clarification, Jody, it's set. Like this is all done, this is all completed. Yeah, no, I just want to make So once you have it all set, you're just coming to the dashboard and you start playing around with these numbers. So what did you think we should offer here, Stacy?
Oh man, we're at 12%. I don't know. We have to drop it by, what was the NOI? I don't know. Drop it by, I'd have to calculate it and wasn't paying that much attention to the numbers. Drop it by
that's okay.
2 million.
I don't. Nope. This is you're overthinking it already. Let's just throw
drop
in
it
a
by
number.
a couple million. Yeah.
7 million. Let's drop it at 1.4. Where'd we get to? Okay, we got a 60% IRR, 3.3 cash on cash, and 21% AAR. I don't think anyone's going to get excited over 3.3%, right? Let's try 6 million. 6 million. Okay.
The cash is really low.
Yeah.
Thinking on a lot of, I mean, I guess my question here is on something like this where the cash is so low and the annual return is so high, is it my next question would be what's the exit cap? Because it seems like it's all on sale where all the money's happening, which is pretty typical, but that's a pretty low cash on cash for such a big AAR.
Yeah, well, the exit cap here is set at 5%.
Mm-hmm.
And we are purchasing at, well, it's going to change now. So does anyone know how to calculate the cap rated sale?
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the common thing in the industry is if current market cap, listen to what I'm saying, current market cap, not the cap rate you're buying it at. Because if I get a home run deal and I buy this thing for $1 million and my cap rate is 30, am I going to tell my investor going to sell it at a cap rate of 30? No.
No.
So market cap rate plus 5 basis points or plus a basis point for every year that you hold it. That's what most people do. So if you plan on buying it at a 4.5 cap and you're going to hold it for 5 years, most people put in 5 cap. That's kind of the standard way people do stuff. The best way to look at it is actually analyze what the cap rate has done over a 10-year period in that market, and then look at what interest rates have done over a 10-year period. That's the best way to actually calculate your exit cap rate. So there's a lot of people right now that bought at a 4.5 cap that put in 5 cap at sale, and what are cap rates doing right now? Because of interest rates.
They're going up.
They're going up. So the 5 cap that they projected is now a 6 cap, which it should be more like an 8 cap, really, because you still have negative leverage if you're buying that deal. So that's the best way to do it. And that takes analyzing those two things and really knowing what you're doing. In quick underwriting, just add those 5 basis points just to kind of give you a ballpark. But really analyze what's going on in the market. That's the best way. Now, if the market looks like you're going to have to sell at a much higher cap rate, then you're going to want to put that, change that to say a 6 cap. If you're in a market where things are going down and interest rates are going down, and you're buying it at a 4.5, let's call it, say, a 5 cap, but you analyze the market and you think you're going to sell it in 5 years at a 4 cap, don't you dare write 4 cap. Keep it at 5 cap. But you're going to want to have to explain to your investors why you didn't add basis points to your exit cap rate. Now, if the deal still looks phenomenal at a 5 cap, then I would absolutely bump it up so that it looks like, hey, worst case scenario, and I would still explain it. I believe we're going to sell this at a 4 cap in 5 years, but worst case scenario, we could sell it at a 6.5 cap, and I could still meet the returns that are normal. Does all that make sense to everybody?
Yes.
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 Okay. So, now that I've changed it a little bit and put exit cap at a 6, now we have a little bit more normal returns. This is starting to look like a decent deal because we got a 15% IRR, close to a 5% cash on cash. And this has been the problem in multifamily the last few years. They just don't cash flow very well. So if you can get that up into the 5s, you could probably sell it to your investors. That's a great number right there. 20% annualized return and a 2x multiple. Great numbers. Those are deals all day long. I did have a 4% acquisition fee in here. We could change that to a 3. Helps a little bit. And these are things to consider as well. You know, normal's 3%. If the deal really works and you don't have a ton of people to divide the deal up with, and you only want to take a 2%, I mean, you're just helping out the deal. It's completely up to you how you want to structure a deal. Asset management, again, we like to do 2%. Some people do 1%. You know, numbers are just getting better at this point. All these things are up to you. If you want to go back to, I had to set 80-20. If you want to go back to an 80 split, 80-20 split, numbers, look at that. I'm almost at 6% cash on cash. I don't even like 80-20. I would do it if I really love the deal. I had a broker out of Texas one time send me an email about raising money for a deal. And when I asked him what the split was, it was 95-5.
Oh, geez.
Wow, talk about not making any money.
Could you imagine? And it wasn't a cheap deal. It was a $40 million deal.
That's kind of insulting, to be honest with you.
There's no money there
That's
for all the people
wild.
on the work.
Yeah.
That reminds me of somebody's sponsor saying that he was going to take 90%.
Yeah, you gotta
or
watch.
somebody's partner, current or previous partner. 90% for sponsoring the deal.
Yeah, when you get to the
Wow.
point where you can pick and choose and do whatever you want, you can throw stuff out like that. I don't think that's right to do. It's just why, I mean, you don't incentivize anybody to do any work in your deal.
Exactly.
So deal's starting to look good. If you wanted to do a pref, like Stacy said, a 6% pref. Let's watch our numbers here. 17,529. Drop them a little bit. These just all have to be the same. Actually, no, wait, yeah.
It went up.
Right, that's just because it all got taken away from the GP side and went to the LP side. So let me show you what happens.
That's okay.
So if you just leave it straight 80-20 split, and we go over here. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. This is where here's the GP returns right here. So you can see all these numbers. So what numbers? So 232, 62, 105, 630, 623. Those are that's what the GP would be dividing up. Now, if we go back and put in these numbers, actually, hurdle should be these should be like 15, I believe. Yeah, okay, that's right. See, these ones went down.
Mm-hmm.
So you
but
lose cash flow each year, because basically what happens is if you have a pref and you guarantee an investor, if he puts in $100,000 and you guarantee him a 6 pref, he gets $6,000 every year guaranteed. So if in year 1 he only gets 4,000, the next year he's due 8. And if that year he only gets 5,000, the next year he's due 9. So it builds up, and then you have to pay it all at sale. Does all that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So the investor gets paid first. So if you have a pref and it's not being met, you see those 2 boxes right there? There's no cash flow to GP for those 2 years. So you're not getting paid for doing all the work that is involved in these 2 properties for 2 years. And then the next year, if you have 4 partners, you're splitting $1,100. And then you don't start actually making any kind of money until year 4. I don't know about you guys. I don't want to work for 4 years just to make.
That ain't even nothing. I make that in a week, dude.
And the whole thing is like $44,000. Like, and if you manage to pull off a deal with 4 partners, that's pretty damn good, because a lot of the syndications have more than 4 people splitting $44,000 for 5 years.
Mm-hmm. So there's a lot of people out there buying deals. Look at how many doors I have. None of them are making any money.
Well, and that's why I think right now we're kind of looking at different avenues and what it's going to pay out for a small amount of partners, whether that's something like this or a duplex or a large syndication, or you know what I mean? Like, because I think, that is a big realization with syndication, is the money you think you're going to make and actually make are 2 different things.
Well, we've went through the peak of the market in most markets right now. A lot of markets are on the downward slope. So opportunities are going to be coming, especially with all the loans that are being called due. There's going to be a lot of opportunity middle of next year. So while these deals look bad now, you got to remember this was also a year and a half ago or so. Deals are going to start looking a lot more, they're going to look better. It's just I can't put it anyway. They're going to start cash flowing more. They're going to have better returns. And that's all due to the interest rates. People are going to have to sell. They're either going to continue to lose money or they're going to have to sell.
Interesting.
So we're gonna start getting deals for steals. It's just we have to be there.
Yep.
Those for steals.
I mean, you're still gonna have to be competitive with your offers,
Yeah,
you know,
but
because you gotta
everybody's-
remember that buyers right now that have been buying for the last 3 years are gonna see 6% and get really excited. When the people who really know what they're doing are probably looking for 7 and 8%. And I see them out there. Every once in a while, I see a deal come across that someone's getting 8% cash on cash. I'm just like, man, that's, you know, how'd they get it? Let me know.
Because they're on the phones, they're calling, they're connected with more people. That's just because I see the same thing. I see the same exact thing, and that's kind of where I'm heading towards. Because I'm like, if you're not out there staying on top of it, you're not gonna get anywhere. You're not. You know what I
Right,
mean?
and once you perform, you start getting those off market deals. I'll tell you this from experience. When we bought our first deal in Wichita and we actually closed, I was bombarded with emails from brokers I never heard about there. They were trying to send me everything out in the Midwest because we finally closed on something. So the hardest one is always the first one. But once you get over that hump, they start coming more easily. The second deal that we bought was true blue off market, was only given out to 4 groups. One of those other groups was partners of ours on the first one. So we only had to compete with 2 other groups. And really, the other group that we were partners on in the first one had no shot. They offered, I think, $500,000 more for the building. And we won the deal because the brokers couldn't stand working with them.
That's a real thing. That's a real thing.
They specifically asked us when we put in our offer, is so and so in your group, are they going to be involved in the deal? And I said, no, we're doing this one with X, Y, and Z. And they said, good, I don't want to work with him again.
Nice.
Well,
So your reputation does follow you around in this business.
Good to know.
It's very true.
While I have this open, is there anything else anyone wants to see regarding any of the pages? Any questions? Want me to just toggle around some things?
Yeah,
No,
I wanted to go back to the which page is it? Not the dashboard, P&L. Go back to the P&L. And just on this property, I mean, I was just kind of curious about your loss to lease. So when you're getting a property in there, rents are 15% below market rent. Like on this, I'm looking at your concessions, loss to lease, bad debt year 1 was 9%.
Mhm.
Your rent escalator 6. I mean, it just doesn't look like there was much upside on this.
There
Where
wasn't.
is your upside in rent? There wasn't. Okay.
There wasn't a ton of upside on this deal. Because
Okay.
I mean, it was, you know, like $200. Trying to think back.
Rent increase. Yeah, where did that rent increase come from? Oh, that 6% right there. Like
Yeah, so
line 8.
yeah, with the way this one does it, it's just something you have to watch out with this template. When it moves over to year 1, it automatically calculates it in. But then I always usually bump things up in the vacancy, which is why, you know, 33% vacancy, we're going to move it up to 8 for, you know, renovations and stuff like that. It just determines how it always
I just was
increases,
wondering.
whereas the other one doesn't increase. Does that make sense?
It says, where did you get the rent increase dollar amount though there on line 8?
On 8.
Yeah, where did that
Oh, that was
198 come from?
that's the difference. That's what the projected was versus what it was currently getting.
Was that manual or was that somewhere else is that on the dashboard or like where did you enter that actual 198? Did you just manually put it in?
No, it pulls it from here, the target rents. But then, like I said, when it comes into here, the escalator kicks in. Although that might have been changed manually.
Well, the escalator 6% of 1104 is like $66.
I may have manually done that. Like I said, it was a year and a half ago I underwrote this deal.
That's
so,
fine. Okay. I'm
yeah.
just trying to understand what the template does, but maybe.
Yeah, there is a lot of manual stuff that I do. I just can't remember off the top of my head on this one.
Okay. Right, so that's you can either put it in the loss to lease as like, or you can put it manually as a rent increase.
Yeah, I always put it in the loss to lease.
Okay,
That difference between what it's doing and what it's supposed to do, I always
Yeah.
put it in the loss to lease.
Okay.
And I did have the property management company that we were using, would be using for this property, look over this, and they were good with the way it was underwritten. One thing you'll see here, like with 60% expenses year one, 56, 53, 53. This really should
Mhm.
probably be 45%, but because it's a Texas property and taxes are really high, this is about where they run in that area, about 50 to 55% for a Class B property.
Yeah, you had taxes. Oh, wait, no, insurance at 1,000 a door.
Which you would never get right now in today's market.
Right.
I believe they had an umbrella policy that included another property, which is why it's lower than what it was.
This is Houston. What property management company were you talking to? Do you remember?
I'd have to look it up. I just remember her name's Jody is who we dealt with.
Yeah,
It
I
was
was just
connected to
curious
Limited
because
Partners.
the people that did ours and were gonna do the other one was Tarantino, and they are based out of Houston, and they do seem to go pretty high on what they think they can do for the projected rents, I think.
What did you say, was like a good average expense to income ratio? Or, yeah,
It depends on the property. I mean, you know, a brand new Class A property could run at about 35%. With great management, like Graystar can probably operate a brand new Class A property about 35%. Probably more close to 40%. Class B property, you're probably in that 40 to 45%. Again, it's, you know, depends on the market, and taxes and insurance are a big influence on this.
Mhm.
A Class C property, you're going to start running anywhere from 45 up to maybe low 50%. One of the really nice things about this template, I'll actually pull up another one real quick just to show you. Sorry, I had some other stuff. I can do it on this one. If you know what the average expenses are per door in a market, like if you call your property management company, you say, I'm looking at a Class B property, it's 100 units. What's the, you know, average expenses per door in a market? And they say, oh, it's, you know, $5,000. You can come right in here and just throw in $5,000. You don't even need to enter all the stuff in.
I like that.
So there's some really cool features with this one, which is why I like to use it so much.
Mhm. Do you have a rule of thumb for legal fees?
Legal is usually 150 a door, I think. I have a whole sheet here that I have. Legal, where's legal? I don't have it on here. Wow.
How about general and admin?
It's either 100 or 150 a door, I think. But really, once you get into this and start talking with your property management company, they'll actually start sending out reports based on the market, whether that be a newsletter or like I get one from one of my property managements and companies in North Carolina all the time. It tells me what the current vacancy rate is for the market, tells me what average insurance cost is based on Class A, B, or C. You know, what maintenance is costing. like once you start getting all that, just save it and you just divide it up and see, okay, they're, Class B property, it's, costing on average in the market $665 a door. Just start using that number. Like you'll start to develop these numbers on your own based on your market from all your resources that you have. I want everyone to understand that when you get to the point we had that other one at, is this the one? No, this one. And you actually start talking to your property management company, they're going to look at everything on here for you. They're going to tell you whether this is good, that's bad, this should be more, that should be less. Like, and the more you start doing that, the more you'll start seeing what's going on in that market, making all of this a lot easier, and you'll have your own rules of thumb for what's in that market. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if you have one market, like my one student, he did Des Moines, Iowa and Jacksonville, Florida, like those markets are so far apart, they're completely different. So if he underwrites one deal in Des Moines, his rules of thumb are different than the one in Jacksonville.
Right. Hey, Brad, did you go over property management companies when I was in one of those ones that I missed by chance? Or is that something you get into? How to pick one, what makes a good one?
Yeah, I talked about it a little the other day. What I did, well, one, you can always ask brokers, and also talk to the property management companies that are listed on any of these deals. But I went on apartments.com. I pulled up all the properties around the subject property I was looking at, made sure they're about the same size and everything like that. And I'd call them all. And based on the conversations I had, I would pick which ones I wanted to move forward. So I would call, say, 10 of them, and a phone call will probably weed out half of them. It just take into consideration how they respond to you. If they want to help you, they're willing to do things like they want to go look at a property and take pictures and give you feedback on it. That's one you're going to want to keep talking to. If you ask them to go look at a property and tour it on your behalf and they're like, what? You want me to do what? Thank you for your time. Click.
Yep. Okay.
You don't want to deal with them. I mean, they want to help you. So that's just, you're just going to have to go through the main questions I ask is, do you manage multifamily? How many units is your biggest property? What's your process like? Things like that. They'll give you a lot of information. You don't really need to dive too deep into it. Just be very aware of how they treat you. And then the more you deal with them, more of them will weed themselves out.
Okay.
I wanted to get into submitting an LOI a little bit here. So this was ours. This was my, partner company I had with my partners. I just wanted to show it just because it had the logo there. I always put our logo at the top of them. I have 2 LOI templates that we use. I have this one, which is 1 page. I don't know why the screen's not moving it. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my computer. I don't know, apparently my computer's frozen, but you can see the whole thing. I'll just show you this other one. This doesn't have the logo on it. This is our 1-page one. I found this to be much more effective than the multiple page one that we had. Just to show you real quick. Hopefully it works. And that's not working either. Wow. Okay. This has multiple pages to it. I don't know why my computer's not helping me out here, but I found that when we sent this one in with the multiple pages, the brokers and sellers wanted to go back and forth like it was a PSA.
Huh.
So we stopped using this one and just used the single page one. And it was more like, yes, sign, move forward.
No redlining and stuff. It was like the redlining for PSA, right?
Yes. Yes.
Went through.
So,
Yeah,
yep.
I've done the same thing.
So very simple. You're just putting in the property address up here. And if anybody wants this, I can send it to you. You just make it your own.
Be cool.
You're putting who you are, the purchaser, always keep assigns. Always don't ever change this. I can't even wow. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my computer.
Press the editing. Do you have to press the editing tab on there at
No,
all?
this was working before the call. I was looking at
Oh,
it.
okay.
I don't know what happened. Always keep this assigns, because if you're buying this as a syndication or with another partner, you're creating a new LLC. You don't want to get held up at closing because you're trying to put it into a new entity that wasn't in the PSA. So make sure you always keep this. You don't always have to put the seller. If you know who the seller is, you can. Your purchase price. There was a lot of times where we could not put it contingent on financing. So this one says not contingent on financing. You can change that if you want to. That's completely up to you. This whole thing is completely up to you. The offer that you want to make, your price, contingencies, down payment, due diligence period, close it. This is all up to you. Now, again, I would try to stick to what the market norms are if you want to be competitive, but all this is completely up to you. Just a little bit of information about inspection period and what you're looking for. Some of the basic documents we're going to be looking for. Your closing, your 30 days, after your inspection period. Commissions, I actually got this from Bo Berry. I don't know if you guys know who he is. But it's proved to be very good because we've used it.
This whole thing, right? This whole LOI.
Yes.
Yeah, he spelled this whole thing out. I have this written in my notebook.
Okay.
The same,
yep.
exactly. Yeah, these ones are, because I remember he's making sure you're getting all the important documents. I remember him putting all those in there, like the up to 3 years of the P&Ls. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And we had all that stuff in our other. I wish I could show it to you. Maybe I'll just email it to you guys so you could see the differences. We had it all in there, but again, just because of how many pages it was, I think it was just like, oh, let's just agree on everything now that it's all broken down, instead of let's just agree, sign an LOI, and then move to PSA.
Yeah.
And then just putting in who's signing. Simple. Like, you don't need to change much. I just keep one available, change my stuff, and I send it out.
Yeah, if you wouldn't mind sending that, that'd be cool.
Yep, I can send it to everybody.
Awesome.
Any questions on the LOI?
Nope.
So this is, another detailed just due diligence. This is pulled out of the other PSA that we have, everything that we're going to be asking for. So normally what happens is they'll send you over a Google Drive that everyone will have access to, and they dump all this in there, and then you can go through it. I've actually done some of these on my own. Like, I did a full lease audit on a property. So you're looking for, who lives there, when did they move in, do they have any pets, how much are they paying, is the lease signed? We've gotten ones without signed leases, and they got to go back and get them signed before we close. But again, your property management company will actually do all of this for you. It's not a big fee. You could pay them. They'll do this whole due diligence for you and give you a report. So I know a lot of people wanted to talk about due diligence and what that entails. This is everything you're getting. But again, you can pay your property management company who does this all the time to do it for you. And then you just look over everything and make sure everything's the way you want it to be.
Like that.
Yeah, your property management team is phenomenal. I'm telling you, they're such a huge help. And in terms of getting things inspected, I've been there when both of our properties were inspected. We hired a company out of I think it was Oklahoma. They drove up to Wichita. They go through everything at the property. They send you a file of like 5,000 pictures, and they'll tell you, hey, unit 1A, the fire sprinkler needs to be fixed. Unit 3B needs a new smoke alarm. Unit C12 or whatever, the dishwasher disposals, like, they tell you everything. So I don't want people to get caught up in the fact that this is overwhelming. You have so much help when it comes to this. And the simple way that we found this company is we asked our broker and other property owners in the area who they used. Like references in this business are huge. So if you have a question and you need help on who you need to hire or what to do, start with your property management company, ask your broker. They always have people that they've either used or know are good. Like don't ever feel like you can't ask somebody and you need to have the answer. Someone will have that contact for you.
So Brad, even though you hired this company and inspected, you still went there yourself?
Yes. So what I did when I was there, I took a picture of everything. And it was actually great because it was a very windy day and we caught that there was an issue with the roof and corners of the roof, the shingles were actually blowing. So that was something we didn't know about. That had it not been a windy day, we would have never known about it, but it was something that we were able to get fixed before closing. The seller fixed it. What you do, I start and take a picture of every unit door so that you see the unit number on the door. And then I take a picture as I walk in around the apartment. So I take a picture of the door, I take a picture of what it looks like through the door, and then I spin around 360 degrees, taking pictures of everything. And I move through the apartment. And I do that with everything. You take a picture under the sink, you take a picture of the sink, you go in the bathroom, shower head, drain, handles of the I don't know why I'm brain fart here. Faucet, yeah. Like you just start taking pictures of everything and then you upload them into your computer. That way you have them. Now, there's a lot of people that just had stuff piled all over their apartments and I couldn't get into certain things, but I was there to make sure I got all pictures of everything, just to be on site, to see the property more, to understand what was going on. But yeah, they'll do all that for you as well. They don't take the pictures like I do, but the reason for that was we want to see the conditions of it. They might not take a picture of a scuff on a wall or something, but they're pretty detailed in their report. I think their report was 165 pages.
Wow. So I'm still not understanding. Was it you just wanting to be double thorough? Is that why hire them and go there yourself?
Well, I mean, listen, if you're buying a $9 million property, you don't want to walk the units.
Yeah, so that's why I'm wondering why hire the inspection company.
Are you an inspector?
I'm a general contractor, so I do know things to look at better than most.
Okay, well, that's
Right.
true. But when your investor who's putting in $100,000 asks if you got the property inspector, what are you going to tell them?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that's-
it's kind of like this. This is how I've seen it done in syndications is the property management is like kind of the first line to execute your rehab projects. And then you have an asset manager specific to the rehab part, making sure that they do that. So there's a couple lines of defense. So when the property management goes and they bring, roofers, people to scope the pipes, blah, 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 then at least in my experience, there's always an owner that shows up. Say you have say all of us were a GP, right? We would, as a group, send you and Michael to go do this inspection with the property management, or maybe, one of you guys and then Jody to go through the office records with the current property management. So, you send the right people who are going to oversee the property management, and it could be 2 or 3, or if everybody wants to go for the hell of it, whatever. But the important people should be there.
Yeah,
Okay.
she's 100% right. It just depends on how you decide you want to do it. Like when I did the lease audit on the one property, I didn't go there. They sent me all the leases and I went through them. Now, we didn't move forward on that property. Had we actually moved forward into due diligence on that property, I would have then sent those leases to my property management company just for a second set of eyes to look over everything.
Yeah.
But I created the whole spreadsheet and put all the information in. I just want to send them all the things. Hey, make sure it's all right. So you always have someone, double checking what's going on. Like when they scoped the sewer line at our first property, they had to break the cap to get into it. And of course, they come up to me and, oh, well, we had to break it to get into it. Do you want to pay for a new part? I'm like, how much is it? Like $50 from the local hardware store. I'm like, go get it. it's, you're there. So it's, when things happen or when they discover something, they'll tell you. So like, there was a lot of stuff where while I was there and they were doing the inspections, they call me and say, hey, come look at this. Because when
Even with
you actually get to
the
see what it actually, how bad it is, like pictures only do so much.
Right.
Yeah, for sure. I was gonna say, even with the LOI part, depending, like when we were buying in Texas, nobody lived there. There was a property management that was really like tight with our sponsors that were operating all of their partners. So that was like their boots on the ground. But even before we submitted LOIs, one of the sponsors would fly there to look at it. And when you've been doing this for 15 or 17 years, you can do that initial, like, go look at it and say, okay, I want to buy it or not. And then we would submit LOIs. And then, of course, there's the full inspection, like I said, where some of the team goes with the property management. But they always went and saw the properties before we submitted offers if we were serious.
Yeah, well, if you're putting in, I was trying to show you guys my biography. Let me see if I can find it. I don't know why my computer is being like this. So you're going to submit your LOI and your entire team's biographies. Sorry, I don't know what's going on with my computer. It's just coming up blank. Submit your LOI, you put your team's biographies in there. Due diligence, your property management company is helping you out with all of that. I think I don't know why.
Brad, stop screen sharing for a minute and then,
See if it works.
yeah.
Nope, I probably just have to restart my computer. So, any questions on any of that we went over today?
No, that was good.
So everyone wants to see the LOI template,
Yep.
the longer LOI template.
I want that cheat sheet that you said you had for like how many per door, it's 150 per door, that kind of thing.
I have it printed out. If I have it in Word document, I will send it over to you. But a lot of the information, like I said, you can talk to your property management company. So when you start calling around, and hopefully you guys have done, some of these steps already. Start asking them, like, what's payroll going for per door? 1,500. Okay, there's your number. What's maintenance generally costs for a Class B property? Like that's the best thing to do. And like I said, good property management companies will sit there on the phone and they'll give you all this information because they want your business.
Right.
Mhm.
A lot of these numbers are probably very inaccurate at this point because I think I probably made this thing 3 years ago.
Things have changed a bit, huh?
Yeah. Does everyone have a underwriting template?
Not yet. I wrote down that one that you're using.
Everyone else have one?
Yeah.
Okay. I would like for everyone to find a deal. I don't care where it is. I don't care how big or how small it is. Find a deal and underwrite it. I don't need you to spend, 10 hours on the thing. Just put the numbers in, see how everything works, and let's review each of them on Wednesday.
All right.
You want it in a certain type of sheet?
Nope.
'Cause I have like different ones for smaller deals that I use. And
If you guys have the multifamily mindset one, I'll just roll my eyes once
Sorry.
and we'll go with it.
I don't even.
We all have the Michael Blanc one. Actually, we have the blank one, right? We could send that to Josh.
Oh, that'd be
I
cool.
could
How many of you have actually underwritten a deal?
Mhm.
Hands up.
I mean,
I have.
practice.
Manny, you look like you were questioning whether you should put your hand up.
He's done
I'm
some.
okay.
mostly focused on market research. So underwriting, I've done income and expenses. I've done kind of like the basic foundations of it. I've never gone nitty gritty.
Okay. That's fine. I want you guys to do like a light pencil, kind of figure out where you want to be. And then write all your questions down that you have when you're doing this. Like, how do I change this or how do I do that? So that way, when we pull these up on Wednesday, I can go through this with you and answer those questions that you're specifically going to have.
Okay.
Does that work for everybody?
Yes.
Cool. Anything else?
Huh?
Oh, thank you.
Cool. Appreciate you guys. Have a good week or good day, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday.
Sounds good.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.
Bye.